So we just started a level 1 yoga teacher training. Today was day 2, and so we spent a lot of time looking at the feet and the hip and the connection between the two. And so we're going to focus on that in our class today. And so we're going to start with waking up awareness in our feet and connecting with some special anatomy that connects the foot to the hip. And so it's okay if you're not that into anatomy. We'll keep it quick, and we'll make sure that most importantly, your ankles, your knees, your hips, and your core feel incredible. So with that, we can begin. And just take a moment to sit comfortably. Hello to everyone just joining. And close the eyes. And start to notice the edges of your body. And then begin to notice the breath that fills the space of the body. And sometimes there can be so much doership and will associated with the breath. So just see if you can relax and observe the breath and let it be as natural as possible. And you may notice the edges of the body expanding with your natural inhale, and then softening with your natural exhale. And we'll take a few moments to observe the breath. And so if this is new to you, it's okay if it's challenging. Just do your best to relax and soften and observe, but absorbing's good too. As you start to become more present in the body, just notice the legs beneath you, supporting you. And start to notice the base of the spine, this connection point between legs and pelvis and upper body. Let the pelvis be really heavy. Just imagine it taking up more space on your cushion. And then start to notice the spine naturally stacking over the pelvis. And as you bring more awareness to the spine, it is okay to make adjustments to better support your shoulders, better support your neck. Just try to be soft and gentle. And ever so subtly, maybe indistinguishable to an outside eye, bring a subtle smile to your face. And just notice the inner brightness that emanates when you do that. And this is the goal of our yoga practice, to connect with this inner brightness and allow it to radiate from us physically in our strong supported postures, also energetically as we become grounded and open inside. And so continuing to have that inward gaze and inward brightness, will start to introduce just a little bit of movement, but allow the awareness to come first so you don't get too drawn out. And so can gently gaze down for a moment and then allow the eyes to broaden, just taking in more light, more awareness of your surroundings. And as you become more aware of your outer surroundings, try to balance that with your awareness of your inner surroundings. And then bring the right leg in front and just gently start to lift and cradle the top leg. And really we're trying to access the foot in whatever way is most comfortable for the hip. So no right or wrong, do whatever you need to do to not feel like you're crunched over or that there's any discomfort in the hip socket. If you're following along with the playlist, you're welcome to hit play on the first track and just make sure it's looped. Each track is looped so that it'll play over and over again until you hit next. And I'll tell you when to do that. Oh, good idea, Annapurna. As long as you're holding your leg, just give it a little cradle. And then support the right foot and just start to glide the hand over the skin of the foot. And there's two things happening here. You're learning with the fingertips, you're feeling the skin of the foot. But even more important than that, start to notice, as if you had eyes in your foot, start to notice the tactile sensation of the fingertips grazing the foot. Just that gentle brushing. Can go around the heel and the instep. And then make your way back to the toes and start to gently squeeze each toe. And there is there's a lot of physical benefit to massage, but the point of this is not self-massage. It is to keep giving ourselves something new to feel, and then opening to that awareness of feeling and taking in information. Our feet are so intelligent, and we just want to empower them to give us as much information as possible during our yoga class and beyond. You can make your way to the ball of the foot and adjust the hip at any time so this stays fun. And just squeeze the inside and outside of the ball of the foot with different pressure. Imagine trying to map the shape of each bone in your foot as you explore. And then always feeling as you explore. And we're going to play a lot with pushing down into the big toe and the base of the big toe. And so just take a little extra time to feel that huge knuckle, the base of the big toe, become aware of it, and then trace the pathway to the outside of the foot. Oh, my feet aren't so dirty. That's great. So where you would see your footprint in the sand, because I'm in Hawaii after all, the outside of the foot, we're going to press a little extra into the outside of the foot all the way into the heel. So take a few moments to just map that trajectory where the base of the toe anchors once we put our foot down later, and then we press into the outer edge, the lateral side of the foot, all the way down into the heel. And as long as this is actually working for me. So try lifting the foot, and then you've got a nice view of your ankle bones. Take some circles with the foot and just notice how circling changes the amount of space underneath each ankle bone, right? And slow down. Let's all go twice as slow. As long as you're circling the foot, let's get some bonus sensation in the calf, starting to squeeze up the back of the calf. And as we press into the base of the big toe, there's actually going to be a lot of energy traveling up the back of the calf as those muscles work to activate the foot. And then before we switch sides, just place the front foot down in front of you as if you were standing in Tadasana, just naturally in front of you. And let's experiment a little bit with pressing down into the big toe. And we don't want to grip, right? It's just a really gentle, like pushing of a button with the big toe and the base, right? So two different things happening. And then remember that footprint. Just gently start to bring a little more weight on the outside edge of the foot, wrapping all the way back into the heel. It's almost like a circle action, right? Starting with big toe and then just sweeping around the lateral edge of the foot. And just take a couple of circles like that in the foot and actually gaze at the ankle. And notice how as you rotate around to the outside of the foot, there's a little lifting and energy in the inside of the ankle. And that's going to help us have more stability in our practice. And then place the left hand off to the side, walk the right foot over slightly, and just gently press down into the foot, letting the front of the hip open for a moment. You can allow the spine to spill out of the pelvis. And then set the hip down, take a nice easy twist towards that leg, and we'll switch sides. And so now the left leg comes in front. Make yourself comfortable. And just start with those gentle grazes of the foot. Just the littlest sensation. You can even close the eyes. See if that helps you feel more. And then start squeezing the toes. Noticing all the joints of each toe. And then pay a little extra attention to the base of the big toe. Push on the padding underneath it. We'll be doing that a lot from afar. And then just start to squeeze the ball of the foot, the outside of the foot. And then start tracing that path from the base of the big toe all the way around the outside of the foot. On me, it's more red. So follow all those darker areas. Imagine your footprint in the sand or the snow if you're into that. But I guess you probably wouldn't be barefoot in the snow. Maybe. And then point the toes towards the screen and just take some of those slow ankle circles, just noticing a sense of freedom underneath the ankle bones, right? Starting to open up the ankle, allowing the foot to rotate, and give some squeezes to your calf. Still trying to feel, right? Not prioritizing the massage, prioritizing the awareness, the feeling. And then set the foot down roughly in front of your sit bone. Play with just gently pressing down with the big toe, the base of the big toe, and then rotating over the ball mound to the outside of the foot. And just notice any sense of the ankle subtly lifting as you do that. And maybe, you already have really high arches, and what's more useful or interesting to you is what happens when you anchor into the base of the big toe. But we're just looking for a sense of balance underneath each ankle bone. And then place the right hand off to the right side. Step the left foot slightly forward and to the left, and just gently push down into the foot, letting the hips open, and extend the left arm if that feels good. And take one moment to just push a button with the left toe and wrap the support around the outside of the foot, just feeling the arch engaged, and then set the hip down and gently twist to the left. Okay. So from here, we will begin our sequence. That was just sort of some seeds we were planting, so you've got some fun things to pay attention to as we move. So if you've got any props underneath you, can toss them off to the side. Take a quarter turn to the left, extend the legs, and slowly recline. And just do a little test. Reach your right arm out and make sure the right arm is reaching towards the screen. It'll make the sequence easier to follow. And then bring the arms in and just take a moment to feel the support of the earth beneath you, and just see if you can soften a little bit more. Create more surface area through the back of the body. And then gently start to drag the heels up towards the sits bones, and push down into the heels to help activate through the back of the legs so the hip flexors can relax and there's no intensity there. And then allow the feet to gently release. And imagine the right leg like a drawbridge. Slowly release the knee towards the screen with control so it doesn't just flop out to the side. And then push into the outside of the right foot, sending the leg away from you. And as you push into the base of the big toe, notice how the leg just naturally comes back to neutral the more you reach out through that toe. And then let's repeat that a few times. So drag the heel effortlessly, no stress in the hip flexor. And then allow the knee to slowly lower to the side. And then kick the leg forward and notice how it slowly comes to neutral once it extends. And just take a few circles like that as naturally as possible. And we're not trying to stretch anything here. So instead, notice a sense of balance in the hip socket, a sense of ease and fluidity, and don't worry about how deep any of these movements are. The next time the heel drags in, pause, bend the elbows, and just gently press into the elbows and the shoulder blades. Let the back of the neck lengthen and soften, and can shimmy the shoulder blades down the back a little bit if that feels good. And then we'll do the second leg. Fingertips can stay where they are or relax back down. So start by slowly releasing the knee to the left side. And then drag the left foot, the left side of the left foot away from you. Once the leg extends, push out through the big toe mound and notice how the leg rotates in the hip socket. And then we begin again, slowly dragging the heel in, awakening the back of the hip, the back of the leg line, and then slowly letting our leg lower to the left, controlling the lengthening of our adductors. And then kick the leg out and let it just naturally pull to neutral. Couple more on your own at whatever pace allows you to feel. Don't worry, we'll have plenty of time to move. The more we feel and sense now, the better our movement will be later. The next time the heel drags in, pause in your bridge setup. Bend elbows again. Take a moment to anchor elbows, shoulder blades, the occiput, the base of the neck. And then slowly start to lift the hips away from the mat and just notice the knees. Set the hips back down and try walking the feet just a little bit wider, a little bit further away, and lift the hips again and notice if there's any greater sense of support. And you can try this a few times, some trial and error until it feels like you don't have any knees because they're not giving you any feedback of tension. Once you find your spot, allow the arms to extend away from you. Press into the feet, the hands, the shoulders. Slowly peel the spine away from the mat, any amount that feels good. And then imagine your sacrum, the base of your spine, like a leaf. Just gently gliding through the air down to the earth. Let the sacrum just gently sway from side to side weightlessly and soundlessly. And then keeping the feet where they are, just gently lower the knees towards the left and back to center. We're going to do this over and over again. So it doesn't have to be a big movement, but just start to notice sensation in the hips, connecting all the way into the abdominals, especially the right obliques. You can allow the right hip to lift any amount as the knees reach over to the left. And then keep going with these knee drops as you start to snow angel the arms overhead. And it's kind of hard. It's like rubbing your head and patting your belly or whatever you're supposed to do. Two things at once, so be patient. But once the arms get overhead, notice how the knees dropping over to the left can start to peel your right shoulder blade off the mat. And just play with that connection, letting the knees lower to the left. Let that tension anchor into the side body all the way up to the shoulder. And then eventually give a little extra push in your left foot so you roll all the way onto the left side away from me. Stack the knees and just pause for a moment on your side. And listen carefully, because this is a weird movement and you can't see me. Gently bend the knees and elbows, bringing them towards one another, almost like a fetal position, but just really subtly. And then slowly start to reach the hands and feet away from one another, growing really long. And then just start to undulate between those two movements, just a little knee and elbow bend, and then letting everything reach out. And just let this be as fluid as possible. This image is really funny, but I've always felt like this as I've been working with this class. I feel like a protozoa, a single-celled organism, just existing in like the primordial soup. And as you start to extend, notice how the body naturally wants to fall onto your belly. And we're going to try to move as slowly as possible onto the belly with control. And you can continue between the flexion and extension. You don't have to just go right for it, but just start to feel that sense of lengthening the body out, and how that top hip and top arm just naturally start to head towards the floor. Support yourself with the right arm and ever so slowly make your way onto your belly. And it's okay that you're off your mat. Slowly drag the hands back underneath the shoulders. Let them be nice and wide so your shoulders feel spacious. And then keep your hands anchored, but keep dragging them back to lengthen the spine and peak the heart forward. Gaze down. And then release the head down and reach the right heel up and back. And then lower the foot and lift the body. Start to imagine the right side of your body like the bottom of a rocking chair. And so as the foot lifts, the head lowers, and as the foot lowers, the head lifts. And the two work in unison, so you're never coming into a deeper back bend, but the whole superficial back line is staying tensioned on that right side. And the next time the foot lifts and the body lowers, slide the hands back a little bit. Push into the hands as you reach the foot towards the front corner of the mat, slowly coming on to the sits bones. And if you've never done that before, you can look at me and I will repeat it. And if you have done it before, do it a few times because it's fun. So you're on the belly, the leg is lifted, and you reach it over. and it pulls into the obliques all the way up to the torso so that you can come to seated. Yay! Way to go. And from seated, imagine you just did that. The momentum starts to carry you over to the right. Plant your hands kind of like a plank pose and start to drop the knees and lift the feet, sort of like Virabhadrasana. You've got your stag legs, and then open your legs back to Upavishta Konasana. Flip the hands to the other side. Same thing, knees down, feet up. Open to your straddle and then roll to the other side. And do this a few times, and we're not forcing anything too much in the hip sockets. We're just starting to wake up the outside of the hips, letting them support the weight of our legs. And move at whatever pace allows you to feel. The next time you roll over to the right, pause there, and then stack the knees on top of each other. Plant the left hand and creep the right hand over, and then creep the left hand over, and gently bend into the right elbow a couple of times, push into the right hand, and allow the hips to start to lift. And then we're going to add on to that. So lower the hips back down and bend the elbow, push into the right hand again, and as the hips lift, step the left foot out. And then we'll just try that one more time. So legs together, hips down, push into the right hand to lift the hips and let that momentum just effortlessly step your left foot off to the side. Beautiful, you got it. So we're in our modified Parighasana, and just take a moment to slide and glide the hips from side to side. I must be in a poetic mood. And you can keep that hand down, or I see some people are lifted. That's totally fine. Just take a moment to explore a little bit of supported movement in the hips. And then bring your awareness to your left foot. Push down into the left foot to slowly rise up. Tuck the right toes under so you've got a little bit of support under the knee. And take a moment to press a button with the big toe and the base of the big toe. Little circle to the outside, and notice how that lifts your arch. And we're going to add on, right, because we didn't get to play with our glute earlier. Allow the knee to track nice and wide towards the pinky. You might feel like, I've always tracked my knee with my second toe. Just trust the process. And as you do that, notice any sense of support awakening in the back of the hip and the back of the leg line. And we'll have time to work with this, so it's okay if it doesn't happen right away. Maybe it'll happen next week. That's okay. We're planting seeds. And so the next time the knee bends, just notice the sit bone reaching towards the heel, and pause there for a moment. Drop your right hand and just draw a couple of big circles, allowing the spine to open towards the sky, and still feel that sense of support, the base of the pelvis, especially the back of the hip. And then release the right hand down and slide the right foot towards the left so you can put that sit bone down. And we'll just take one moment to sit in Sukhasana. And just notice the support underneath your pelvis. And then lift the knees, keep the ankles crossed, plant the right hand behind you, push down into the hand as you drop the knees, and slowly swivel to tabletop. And then walk your way forward on your mat, sway your hips a couple of times. And then we'll just cross the ankles, sit back, and slowly extend completely on the mat. So we're the other direction on our back. And we'll do that same sequence on the second side. And we'll go a lot faster through some of the things that we really took time with. And just give yourself some space, inside and out, to just relax for a moment. And then bend the elbows, walk them in slightly, push down into elbows, shoulders, and the occiput to lengthen the back of the neck. Slowly drag the heels in with as much softness in the front of the body as possible. Place the soles of the feet down. We'll start with the leg circles, and we'll always start with whichever leg is closest to the screen. So slowly release the left knee open, kick the foot away, and then drag it back in. This time, as the heel comes underneath the knee, slowly push into the feet into a gentle bridge pose, and then release everything back down, and we'll do the right side. So lower the right knee any amount to the right, and then slowly kick the leg out. Let the toes point upward, and then drag the heel back in and push down into the feet to slowly rise up. On the second one, option to flatten the hands. If it feels good, to lift a little higher and allow the feet to walk out or wider until the knees feel extra supported. And then release the hips back down and take a moment to press into the base of the big toe and the big toe itself. And this time, as you lift the hips, let the knees track wide towards the pinky, and just notice the pinky toe, and just notice any sense of support on the outside of the hips, the glutes waking up. And then release the spine back down and start to slowly drop the knees to the right and then back to center. Right, back to center. And as you repeat this movement, just start to feel the rotation of the thigh bones in the hip socket and that changing space. Make sure there's no pressure on the inside of the left knee as you do this. If you feel pressure, let the left hip lift a little bit more to unload the knee. And then continue with this movement as you snow angel the arms overhead. And once the arms make it overhead, notice how the body wants to make its way onto the right side. Let the knees fall, give an extra kick into the left foot to slowly shift the weight all the way to the right, and softly bend the elbows, and then reach hands and feet apart so you're kind of like a banana shape, and then elbows and knees gently pull towards one another, and just take a few of these protozoa pulses. And the next time the arms and legs reach apart, keep on reaching. Support yourself as you slowly ooze onto the belly. And then drag the hands back until they're in line with the shoulders, but nice and wide. And then use the hands to pull the spine forward. Keep your gaze down so the back of the neck is nice and long. As you release the body, lift the left heel and reach it back for a half shalabhasana. And then slowly lower the left foot and peel the heart off the mat. And take a few of these rocking chair movements, letting the back of the body stay tensioned and just playing with lowering the head and the foot. The next time the head lowers, push into the hands, start to reach the left leg across the right and let it drag you all the way up to seated, just like we did on the other side. And then feel free to watch me if you want to see that again, or just take a few rolls yourself once you've got the hang of it. And so the leg lifts and crosses, and the pushing into the hands naturally sits you back up. And once you've made it back up, keep riding the momentum over to the left. Drop the knees, lift the feet, and then open back up through center and go the other way. Just allow the front foot to gently tap the back knee. Doesn't have to be dramatic. You don't want to feel too much pull in the hip sockets. And the next time you roll over to the left towards the screen, let the legs stack and release them down. Cross the left hand in front and then cross the right arm over and gently start to push into the left hand to bring the hips up. And then do it again and we'll add on. So push into the hand, bring the hips up, step the foot out. And try it again. Do it a couple times so you feel the seamless action of the hand pushing, the hips lifting, and the right leg just gliding out to the right. Nice. And you can pause there. I know surfers don't actually look like this, but for some reason I always feel like I'm surfing when I do this. Place the left hand underneath the heart. Bring your awareness to the right toe, big toe, anchor it, and just take a couple of circles, letting the arch lift, letting the ankle be spacious on the inside and outside. And then the next time the knee comes over the ankle, push down into the feet to slowly rise up, and take a moment to just track your knee nice and wide so the back of the hip engages as we've been working with, and just take a few of those pulses, noticing the sit bone coming towards the heel. All right, a lot of times we have a lot of gripping in the front of the hip. We just want more support happening through the hamstring and the glutes. The next time the knee bends, pause there, hand to knee, and just take a couple of circles with the left arm. And notice how the left arm helps open the heart towards the sky, changing the relationship between the torso and the thigh. And then pause for a moment and slowly, I messed this transition up on the first time. I'm not going to do it the same way. Release the hands down, hug the legs back together. Take a couple of swivels side to side, squeezing the thighs together. Just notice any sense of support on the outer hip. And then allow the hip to lower to the right. Extend the legs out and slowly walk towards the center of the mat with your sit bones. And again, try to keep the hip flexors nice and soft so there's not a lot of intensity there as you do this. And then we're back at the beginning. Can gently lay down and pause. This is a great opportunity for a sip of water. Can change the track on your music, and then you have to take a little rest too. So we'll be building on that sequence, moving faster through the things that you already know. And then from that Parighasana, we'll come up to standing and add some more exploration with the foot and the hip. And just take one more moment to soften. Bend the elbows, fingertips to the sky. Gently push into elbows. Walk the shoulders down the back and lengthen through the back of the neck, just allowing the trapezius muscle to expand in its diamond shape. And then slowly drag the heels in towards the sits bones and allow the feet to just naturally land instead of micromanaging them and adjusting them. Where they pull in is often where they're best suited to be. Slowly drop the right knee, controlling its descent with the inner thigh, and then glide the right side of the foot away from you. Kick into the foot, allowing it to gently spiral to neutral. And just take a moment to push out through through the big toe, and maybe you can even visualize the spiral from the big toe up to the outer hip. And then drag the right heel back in, push into the feet and shoulders to gently lift through the front of the hip. And then set each vertebra down one at a time. We'll do the second side. Slowly lower left knee, kick it away, and just notice how it naturally pulls right to neutral. Press through the base of the big toe and feel the strength spiraling around the leg into the hip socket. Drag the left heel in. And this time plant the hands and slowly press into the feet to lift the hips. Let the knees drift wide, not too wide, but just towards the pinkies. And notice any sense of added support on the outside of the hip. Release one vertebra down at a time. And slowly allow the knees to drop towards the left as you snow angel the arms overhead. Give a little extra kick into the right foot to help you roll onto your side. And then just take a few of those oozing protozoa pulsations. And as you feel ready, support your ooze all the way to the belly. So it's really slow and controlled. Drag the hands back, peek the heart forward, and then slowly reach the right foot back and up as you lower the belly. And take a few of these rocking chair shalabhasanas. The next time the right foot lifts, push into the hand, reach the right foot back behind you, pulling you into your seated straddle, and then keep circling the arms in front and to the side, riding that momentum right into our pivoting toe taps. Roll the other way. And just do one more each side. Moving slow with control, noticing the articulation of the thigh bone and the hip socket, and make sure you're not overdoing it, right? Some of us like to overdo it. The next time you're facing me, stack the legs, squeeze them together, and then creep right hand in front of left. Push into the right hand to spring the left leg out. Nice. And then we'll add on here. So walk the right hand forward slightly. If the left toes are off the mat, you can scooch over a little bit if that drives you insane. Tuck the right toes under and slowly allow the hips to melt down. And as they do that, start to lift the left hand any amount. And then reverse that. Kick into the left foot. Let the left leg extend and release forward. And just take a couple of pulsations between those two shapes, letting the hips glide like we did before, but adding on the rotation of the spine. That just naturally follows the pelvis so effortlessly here. The next time the knee bends and the arm lifts, pause there. Walk the right hand towards the foot and shift a little extra weight into the foot so that that right leg becomes weightless. Slowly extend the right leg, bring the right heel down, and reach the right arm up beyond the left foot. Slowly kick into the left foot, windmilling the arms up to Virabhadrasana 2. And take a moment to adjust the back foot so there's ease in the hip socket, the knee, and the ankle. Yeah. And then extend the left leg and do this a couple times. Notice how pushing into the base of the big toe and powering through the leg allows you to lengthen through the whole left side. And then start to bend the knee, melting down over the left leg, and allow the other arm to extend. Now same thing, opposite side. Push into the base of the right big toe and notice how that power extends through the whole right side of the body. And so now let's start to play with lengthening one side at a time. So kick into the left leg, the arm ripples up last, and then soften the left knee and power into the right foot, sending that strength the other direction. And try to move nice and slow. You can bend the knees a little bit extra so there's no rigidity. Doesn't really matter how deep you go into the hip flexion. We're really trying to notice the connection between the feet all the way up and allow that to support you. And the next time you shift over into the left foot, heel toe the back foot in a little bit so you feel really powerful over the left leg. And slowly lift the right heel, turn the right toes out into goddess pose. And sometimes this is too much external hip rotation, so take a moment to shift the hips from side to side. And as you do that, allow the toes to come a little more forward until the hips can relax and you feel a little bit more support on the back of the hips. Take a couple more weight shifts and start to add the arms into it. So as the right leg extends, reach through the left arm and then switch. And so the hips glide and the arms just swing and follow. And let it be slow and controlled. Sometimes when things start swinging, we get externalized. Let it still be grounded and heavy and let the momentum be really natural. The next time we shift over to the right, pause there. Be aware of the right sit bone lowering towards the heel, something we've been working on a lot. And then turn the right toes out a little bit more and let the left heel lift. Reach the left hand down and slowly shift the weight, letting the left foot hover for just a moment. And then push into the base of the right big toe. Slowly come up to neutral, lift the left knee, and gently twist towards it. And then soften the right knee, take a couple of springs here, and take a short step forward with the left foot, and we're going to repeat that same thing. So let the right arm drop, slowly shift the weight, let the back leg hover, and then power into the left big toe as you come upright and twist away from the screen, lifting the right knee. And then set the right foot underneath you, pause for a moment, and we're going to play between those two shapes, and I'm going to turn so you can see me. We're going to shift the weight, lift the knee, twisting, and then put the foot down and go the other way. And take a few moments there, and you can continue, or if you're feeling like being a little kid for a moment, we can actually add in a hop. If you're hopping, try to keep a sense of control and ease. And if that's feeling really good, you can actually start to cover some ground and hop forward. Start to pay attention to the big toe pressing down. Oh, Satya made an appearance. The big toe pressing down as the whole leg extends. And maybe you'll feel the glute really engaged to support the hip here. This is really useful when we're running, especially uphill. And then you can slowly skip on back to your mat and skip all the way down to the end in the same direction that you're facing. If you can remember, don't worry if you can't, I'll make sure we're on the same page. The left shoulder should be towards the screen. Walk the feet nice and wide and keep that sense of shifting weight just like you're skipping, and let the hips slowly get really heavy. We don't want any pressure in the knee here. So if you feel pressure in the knee, bring more weight in the heels. And if you can't do that, stay up higher because we're just strengthening our legs here. If it is comfortable to come lower, keep shifting in malasana, again with no pressure in the knees. And then bring the hips to center, hands to the heart. Pause for a moment. If this is too much, you can just roll on back because we're making our way to our back anyway. And then we'll all slowly release the sits bones down and take a few back rolls. And then slowly extend the whole body. And feel free to wiggle towards center on the mat and just pause. and soften, and especially as we start to bring more movement into our practice, you may begin to notice tingling sensations. And just soften as much as possible, allowing your fascia to rewire as it understands these pathways better. And we'll repeat that sequence exactly the same on the second side. Let's take another breath here before we begin. Bend the elbows, fingertips point up. Take a moment to push into elbows, shoulders, lengthen back of neck. And then gently glide the heels in with even less effort as more muscles come online. That becomes possible. Slowly lower the left knee out to the side, glide the foot away, and drag the heel back in. Take a moment to lift the hips, knees drift wide. Keep the base of the big toe down. Slowly melt the spine back down, and we do the right knee slowly open, kick away, and drag back in. Option to release the hands down as we gently lift back into bridge and sway the hips from side to side, still maintaining awareness of the big toe anchoring, not gripping, but anchoring, and the knees reaching towards the pinky toe. Can make a circle with the pelvis like a jump rope, and then go the opposite way. Slowly melt one vertebra down at a time, actually trying to feel the articulation of each vertebra. And then allow the knees to melt over to the right as the arms circle overhead. Gently push into the instep of the left foot to roll all the way to the right side. Hug elbows in just a little bit, and then allow the body to lengthen and shorten a couple of times, letting everything in your body gently expand, gently contract, and as you feel ready, you can melt onto the belly with as much control as possible. Pushing down into the left hand helps. Glide the hands underneath the shoulder, peek the heart forward and up. And if you want to come a little higher, drag the hands a little further back this time, and then keep dragging to naturally allow more musculature on the back to engage. Tuck the toes under, lift the left heel as the forehead lowers, and then reverse it, foot down, head up. Just take a couple of rocks. The next time the foot lifts, cross over the body, push into the hands, and slowly let the left leg drag you into your straddle. Keep on turning to the left, plant the hands, and bring right knee to left arch. And then open the legs to straddle a little wider this time if you want, as the hips are more supported. Glide the arms forward and all the way to the right. Plant the hands over to the right, and then left knee to right arch. Open through your straddle any amount that's supportive and comfortable. And the next time we make it over to the left, foot to instep, and then stack the legs, cross the left hand under, and push into the left hand to spring the right foot out to the side. Allow the hips to slowly lower as you lift the right hand, and just take a couple of pulses here. And as you do this, feel free to walk the right foot around until you can get as much glide as possible. So if it feels sticky, bring the right foot closer in and slightly ahead of the left knee. The next time the knee bends and the arm reaches up, pause there, and then slowly shift the weight into the right foot. Bring the left hand forward for more support, and extend the left leg. And push into both feet, reach the left arm long, and power into the feet. So there's a lot of space in the hip sockets as you make this transition. Pause for a moment in Virabhadrasana 2, and then adjust the back foot. We might not have magically landed in the right spot, but you guys actually look like you all magically landed in the right spot. So it worked, yay. And now take a moment to generate strength and length through the right leg, and let that translate all the way up to the right side of the body. Lift the right arm. And then allow that side to start to deflate, bend the knee, melt everything down. Same thing on the other side. Push into the left foot, not to build tension, just to generate that brightening through the whole left side. Do this a couple of times with as minimal effort as possible. And sometimes when we start exerting less effort, we actually move smoother. We actually can allow more muscles to come online to help us. The next time the weight shifts over the right foot, come onto the back toes, shift the weight a little bit more to the right so that you can pivot the left foot to the left. And then heel toe the feet a little bit until you feel really mobile. And just start to shift the weight from side to side. If you feel too much in your knees, bring more weight back into your heels. You really don't want to feel this in your knees. And then as the left leg extends, reach the right arm forward and just shift a couple of times, allowing the movement of the legs to generate a swinging sensation with the upper body, but a controlled swing. The next time the weight comes over to the left, turn the left toes to the short edge of the mat, push into the right foot, slowly turning the body towards the left leg. Let the right arm get heavy. Shift the weight into the left foot and let the right leg hover. Push into the left leg, slowly lift and twist to the right. Nice control, everybody. And then gently release the right foot forward and to the right. Same thing. Hinge forward, left arm is heavy. Let the left leg lift any amount. And then power into the right foot, especially the base of the big toe. Lift the left knee, twist to the left. And then set the left foot down. And take a moment to glide in place. And I'm turning just so it's easier to see. And play with two different things here. So first, we're twisting quite a bit and our hips are wide. And then start to lift more through center, almost as if you were like a toy soldier. I don't know. I was like, what is this like? Yeah, opposite arm to leg, just letting those cross lines of the body support us. And then if you want, you can take a moment to skip either way, right? So the soldier skip is more forward, and then the first skip is more side to side. Yes. You didn't know soldiers skipped, did you? And then slowly make your way back to the runway of your mat, so you're pointed towards the left side. And just pause for a moment. Notice, and maybe you've already changed the feet, but notice if your feet are just perfect where they are. They are great. Your body is so smart. And give yourself permission to walk the feet wider, turn the toes in any direction until you feel really supported and full of ease. And we're going to do another round of malasana. And so, again, keep the weight in the heels and send the sits bones back so we don't have any pressure in our knees. And then keep shifting from side to side. Like imagine you're sneaking into this pose, right? You're like, shh, don't tell anyone I'm about to do malasana. So be very, very sneaky as you keep shifting. We don't want any pain in the hip sockets or in the knees. If that happens, either stay higher or just go straight to the rolls. If it's feeling good, we're going to play with powering back up. So hands to heart center. Push down into the feet till the hips become buoyant and springy. Take a couple of bounces and then power into the big toe. Squeeze the glutes all the way up. If that went well, we can challenge ourselves by lifting our arms. It's actually going to be a lot harder with the arms lifted. If that was hard enough, keep the hands at the heart. With the arms lifted, make sure your back doesn't sway out. So it's going to take a lot of extra core strength and mobility here. Let your hips start to drop. And then to power up, down into the feet, glide the hips forward and up and drop the arms. A little spinal extension, fine. If that felt good, take a few pulses there, because we've really done a lot of work for the glutes and for strengthening all the way from the big toe into the hips. And so this might be like one of your best squats of your life. So milk it, enjoy it. Just make sure there's no pressure in the knee or the front of the ankle. And then the next time you squat down, if you want to pause there, you can. If you want to bring hands to heart center, if you want to roll onto your back, whatever your body's asking for, but we'll just have a moment to absorb. And then, wow, everybody stayed up. That's a good sign. And it's okay if you didn't, because I can't see you if your picture's not up. Release the hips down, extend the legs forward, and scooch so your heels are on the mat. So stay upright. I'm just demoing something. From the back, we've played with our legs rotating in this way, and it's going to feel different from seated, but it's the same patterning, right? So keep your ankles, your heels rooted, but drag them back towards the sits bone, something that we've talked about a lot. Try to feel the back line of the legs supporting you. Sit up nice and tall, and then let both knees fall out to the side. Kick into the legs, hollow body, and then the toes point upward. Yeah, and just take a few of these slow rotations. We're done. We're starting to cool down. So let this not be about your deepest pose or having anything super engaged, but rather notice the fluidity that you've created with all this leg and hip work. And let it translate up into the core, up into the spine. And then slowly start to lean back more each time, keeping the legs rotating to generate strength. But see if you can make your way all the way onto your back with this sense of support. And once you arrive, no rushing, but once you're there, let everything be very still. And just notice a wholeness in the body. We still have some more cool down movements, but sort of a pivotal moment after skipping and squatting and deep Paschimottanasana. Just take a moment to absorb. At this point, if your body is asking for anything specific, especially while you're really warm, if there's something fun that you're working on in your own practice, feel free to use the next 5 minutes for yourself. Otherwise, I will guide some gentle cooling down. So, yogi's choice. If anyone's working on pistol squats in your own practice, this would be a great time to play with those. And if you're cooling down with me, bend the elbows, fingertips to sky. Gently lengthen through the back of the neck, wiggle the shoulder blades down, the spine. And then, as minimal effort as you've ever exerted in your whole life, glide the heels towards the sits bones. No tension in the hip flexors. Set the feet down. Shift the weight from foot to foot, gently pressing into one foot allow that hip to lift a little and then go to the other side. So we just get a little massage across the back of the body while still supporting our knees. And then from center, gently press into the feet, allowing the hips to become buoyant. And this can be a really small bridge pose, or if, because how warm your body is, if you want a little more dramatic bridge pose, you can keep playing with those circles, lifting the spine up and over, even grazing the spine along the mat at the bottom of the circle. And then the next time the hips lift, again, imagine the sacrum as a leaf, just gliding in the wind, and just let it gently travel from side to side. Watch its pathway as it lowers, and then feel it become one with the earth. Just pause. Slowly circle the arms out to a T, reaching out as the arms float to T. Imagine you're like a flying squirrel and you can feel the connection between the bottom of the arms into the side body. And then cross the right leg over the left and just take some nice, easy hip circles, massaging the outside of the hip, especially after all the work our glutes have done for us in this class. Spend some extra time giving them some love. And then before we switch legs, let's just add in a little twist. So allow the left foot to lower to the earth, and then slowly allow the knees to drop over to the left. Keep the right shoulder anchored. And just check in with the right knee. Make sure this isn't too much. If it is, just uncross the legs. Let them stack instead. Option to gaze to the right and allow your breath to massage the muscles of the spine. And then we'll go the opposite direction. So slowly point the knees up and the nose up. Switch the legs and just start with those massaging movements. If you find an area that's sore or needs extra love, you can stay there. And if there's like a knot or something, just draw some circles in place. And then whenever you feel ready to add in the twist, lower the right foot to the earth. Keep the left shoulder down and just gently allow the knees to point towards the right. Give yourself the option to uncross the legs if it feels like too much in the knees, the hips, or the spine. And allow the gaze to look up and over to the left if it's comfortable on the neck. Knees and nose to center. Uncross the legs. Gently place the hands to the knees and curl up towards them. And then grab behind the backs of the knees and just gently roll forward and back until you can come all the way up to seated. Now is a great time to pause your music. And we've got 10 minutes to meditate and then 10 minutes for Shavasana. And so if you'd like to sit in a chair or grab a cushion or a blanket, please be my guest. And we have some new faces, and I'm not sure about your connection to Shambhavananda Yoga, so I'll just say the number one most important part of the ashram is helping to share meditation. And so the practice that we just did for the past 70 glorious minutes is so rich for our bodies and building our focus, really with the goal of this moment, being able to practice with a body that's able to support you and with a focus that can stay on your practice. So take a moment to let your body support you. You can shift the legs around a little bit, wiggle on the hips, make any adjustments so there's no tension in the ankles and the knees and the hips. And if this position isn't comfortable, by all means, sit in a chair. And we began our practice in a seated posture, much like this one. So just take a moment to notice any sense of extra support in the pelvis or the spine, and sometimes not feeling something is a huge triumph, right? There's not a knot pulling on you. There's not any tension. So sometimes the body being quiet is an incredible achievement. And can draw thumb and index finger together and gently set the hands on the legs. Allow the shoulders to be really soft and the heart buoyant. Feel free to close the eyes or softly gaze on a single point. And then just like we began, just notice the edges of your body. And maybe they're not so rigid now after practice. Maybe there's more of a sense of spaciousness and vibrating beyond the confines of your physical form. And from this stillness and this perfect container of your perfect body, start to bring attention to your breath. And imagine that it's not your breath. You're just observing someone else breathe. So you can't change it. You can only watch it and let it be perfectly as it is. Our body's ability to regulate is way smarter than our minds. And so we benefit so tremendously by just letting the body control the breath. We can, though, allow the breath to gently slow. And the slowing down comes from relaxing more. And just take a few breaths to play with that. Try relaxing a little bit more and notice how the breath changes. And then bring all of your focus to your exhalation. And try to really relax as the body naturally softens. Notice the space after you exhale, and try to be okay and safe in that moment of emptiness. And sometimes we rush the inhale. And so as you continue to focus on the exhale and the pause after it, try to let the inhale come to you. You don't need to grasp it. We'll continue to work with the breath in this way, and we'll add our lineage mantra Om Namah Shivaya to each in-breath and out-breath. And this mantra means I bow with respect to the inner self. In the yogic tradition, the inner self is this place of pure, perfect consciousness that exists within each of us. And the nature of pure consciousness is truly blissful. It's on the screen if you're a visual person. And so as you continue to observe the breath, gently begin to repeat this mantra, Om Namah Shivaya. Letting the vibrations and the energy of the mantra that has been passed down to us guide you towards a deeper experience of the inner self. And so every breath is an opportunity to harmonize with our inner self. Om Namah Shivaya. And we just have one more minute of meditation. So as you repeat the mantra, try to let it be as natural as your movements in this class, as natural as your breath. You're welcome to stay upright and continue working with this practice, especially if you're in the zone. Meditation's hard, so anytime it feels easy, it's great to stay in that space. And then whenever you feel ready to fully relax and release, make your way onto your back and take a moment to support yourself, maybe with a warm layer or a pillow underneath the back of the knees. If the body is asking for any last little movements, listen. And then give yourself permission to completely release into the state of being you have cultivated. But really this is our natural state, and we just become attuned to it. So for the last several minutes of class, we can just marinate in our natural state of being, which is truly blissful. Take your time becoming aware of your body and letting your consciousness fully intertwine with each particle of your being. And so when you begin to make gentle movements, have this sense of consciousness generating your movement and consciousness feeling the sensations that your movement generates. And in this way, enjoy the gentle waking movements that your consciousness creates. And maintain this awareness, this inner connection as you gently find your pathway back to seated without rushing, with as much support and enjoyment and curiosity as possible. And we'll meet back at seated, hands at heart. And just take a moment to feel that connection between your heart and this inner space of consciousness and your hands, your connection to the outside world. And just let them be in this state of union. And gently bow to that union in your inner wisdom for guiding you to this practice. Thank you so much for sharing. Take care, everybody, and it's great to see everyone. Dana, I've missed you. It's been a few weeks. You've got a new backdrop, so I can't wait to hear about where you are now. And teacher trainees, I know you have to be here, but I'm still so happy that you're here, and it's great to see you. And new people, Annapurna's friend, thank you for coming. And Heather, hi. I don't think I've met you, so I would love to find out who you are and where you came from. I might say your name wrong, Nomi. Thank you so much for coming. If you've got any questions, I can stick around for a moment. Otherwise, namaste. See you soon.
Thank you, Abai. That was great.
Oh, thanks for coming, Devi. Take care. See you Thursday. Dana, are you back in Hawaii? Wow. Maybe I'll see you from far away at some point.
I hope so. I'm here for the indefinite future, so I really would like to
Yeah, we can find a way to do that safely. Well, welcome back. It's great to see you. Oh, I'm just seeing that John is your dad. That is so cool. Thanks for coming, John. I know it's a unique practice, so you're very courageous, and you hung in there the whole time. Way to go. Yeah, you've got the cutest grandchildren in the whole world. Take care, Anjali. So good to see you. Thanks for all your attention today for the past, 12 hours.
Yes. I know, it's so much fun. And you're right, 12 hours because I got up early this morning to finish some of the homework. So, yeah, I think it's been about 12 hours of work today, but it's been so blissful and so nice.
Oh, well, it's really wonderful to get to spend extra time with all of you. So thanks for being here. Have a great week. Aloha. Take care, Tammy. Have fun with Henry and Gabriel, John and Anna.
to say that Heather is
Oh, wow.
yeah.
So fun. Thank you for spreading the word and the love. It's so great to have more friends.
Yeah, she's wonderful. So anyway, thanks for that.
Yeah, thank you. Take care, guys. Bye-bye.
That's so good.
Yay. Good to see you, Tammy.
Thank you, sweetheart. That's so good. My 1-week-old granddaughter's already starting to roll around.
Wow, she
She's gonna
is
be a
good.
little yogi out.
Seriously, wow, that's so cool and so fun to watch. Oh, man. Congratulations.
Thank you so much. So good. When my daughter's a little more recouped, she might be able to join us as well.
Oh, that would be so fun. Yeah, I know it's a lot to recover. Yeah.
Eventually we'll have 3 generations if we can make it.
Yeah, what a blessing. Oh, well, thanks
Thank
for
you so
coming.
much.
Have a great week.
Have a blessed week.